So the early access for Anthem starts in a couple of days, so this video was predominantly going to be focused on covering everything there. When it starts, how to get involved, so on and so forth. But we just had some big news that there's going to be effectively a short film for Anthem with some pretty exciting details. So we'll go over that, all of the early access stuff, and then some other bits of news and info that you will need to know going into launch. My name is Ryan Central, you can subscribe for more Anthem content, and we have a giveaway going on at the moment for a Legion of Dawn edition of the game. Runner-up gets a standard copy, you can enter in the comments below. It first started with this tease coming from Neil Blomkamp. For those that don't know, Neil is the director of films like District 9 and Chappie, both of which are amazing, visually beautiful, and most importantly, very sci-fi based. We got the teases, now we know exactly what it is with the trailer included. From Academy Award nominated director of District 9, Elysium and Chappie comes a story set in the rich world of Anthem created by BioWare. Neil Blomkamp with Oak Studio and BioWare present Conviction, an Anthem story told in live action. Basically goes on to say what Anthem is, but then it says, in Conviction, Neil explores the vast world of BioWare's Anthem through a new narrative set decades before the beginning of the game. Neil's live action short is a chance to see the world of Anthem through a different lens, with stunning locations, new characters, and a new story. It all apparently came from a tweet on June the 12th, 2017 of Neil saying Anthem from BioWare looks so cool, and that's exactly where this partnership came from. We even see a little bit of a film poster, which honestly I just want to get framed and put on my wall at this point, but you can see in the background the Monitor's in there too, who is of course one of the real villains in our story that we're going to be experiencing, but this is pretty exciting. As somebody that comes from an Overwatch background, there is a lot of focus on how that game performs in mainstream media and how involved it is in pop culture. It seems that Anthem is definitely going in that direction, really establishing a world and a story that is not only fit for game, but also films and stuff of the like. And even thinking about it just now, merchandise I think would be a really cool thing for Anthem too. Logos on designs, pop funk figures, those kind of areas where you can imagine quite a lot. I would definitely love a Colossus or Monitor, especially based pop funk figure, now that I'm on that tangent. But to pull it back, where can you watch it? It goes live at 3:30 on the 14th of February. So 10:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific Time. So it's fairly early on in the morning for America. But it does look really, really cool. So be sure not to miss it. In this video, I did want to talk about the early access stuff, as I have been getting a lot of questions on when it starts, how do I get in, this and that. So I kind of wanted to cover everything extensively, but not waste too much of your time, because I know that this doesn't apply to everyone. Those on Xbox and PC with the basic Origin access will get access to 10 hours of the game from the 15th of Feb. I assume that that's just 10 hours of game time instead of a specific 10 hours in the day, for example. So do make good use of them. For those on PC with Premier access, you will get access to the full game, and I mean the full game. All of the progress that you will make will count towards, your actual game of Anthem. I mentioned that the game comes out on the 15th, well that's not really true, at least if we're going off the launch times from the Origin launcher, because it actually says it's going to go live on the 14th of Feb, Valentine's Day. We'll go over when the game officially launches and what that means for your time zone, but first we need to talk about the preload date, which is happening tomorrow. For me, at least in GMT, which is UK time, I will be able to preload the full game on February the 13th at 6 PM. Want to know what time zone that is for you? Well, this is an amazing graphic that was made by Blakeometer on the subreddit. The time zones for you may include Los Angeles, where it's 10 AM in the morning, Eastern time, which is 1 PM, Central European time, which would be 7 PM, and in Sydney, it would be 5 AM in the morning. For early access, it's different times. As I said, it will be for UK and Universal time, it will be 10:30 on the 14th. Which would mean it would be 2:30 for Pacific time, 5:30 for Eastern time, and you can see the rest on screen. The official launch of the game is going to be at midnight Eastern time on the 22nd, meaning 5 AM for the UK, 9 PM in Los Angeles, so on and so forth. So they are the times that you will be able to pre-download the game, get early access, and then get access for launch. Another thing that I've seen brought up for Premier Access is that you can't get it if you didn't get it before the 1st of Feb. which isn't true. Community manager Jesse Anderson says if you sign up for Origin Access Premier before Feb the 15th, you will have early access to Anthem game. Some players thought that they needed to sign up by Feb the 1st. This was incorrect. In fact, I do believe that if you wanted to get early access midway through the early access period, that still might work, but there's been nothing confirmed there. So you still have an opportunity to play the game early on PC if you wanted to get Premier Access. That's not me saying that you should, I'm just saying that the option is still there if you want it. Another confusing thing that people have mentioned is the stuff that you lose if you go from the Origin Premier Access version of the game to a standard version. When you cancel your Origin, Premier or Basic subscription to buy the game, when that membership expires, you will lose access to the game Anthem, which includes all of the Legion of Dawn stuff, pre-order bonuses that you would get with it, but you won't lose any progression, so you don't need to worry about that. However, one of the most important things that I need to highlight is that Premier Access version of the game that you get with subscribing to the service is the Legion of Dawn edition of the games. However, if you cancel that Premier membership and then buy a standard copy of the game, you would lose access to those skins as well as all of the pre-order stuff if you obviously buy the game post-launch, because it's no longer a pre-order. So it's something that you need to be careful of, that you will lose some of the elements in your pre-order and also the Legion of Dawn skins and armor packs if you don't buy the Legion of Dawn edition of the game post-launch. This is a screenshot coming from an EA help representative. Basically confirms this. If your Origin access would expire and you decide to purchase just the standard version, you would lose all of the items that you got from pre-order and from Origin access. So please do bear that in mind if you're doing what I'm going to do, for example, which is having Premier access to play the game early and then buying the game just before launch. The final thing to mention for early access are the things that are going to be in the game that were different from the demo. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any official patch notes, but going off a previous post from Ben Irving a while ago, we have a good idea on what is going to be in the game for the 15th for early access, and then what might be coming a little bit later on for the official launch of the game. These are the list of changes highlighted for the UI, and you can see some of them have 15th of Feb, whilst some have 22nd of Feb. Navigating menu tabs with Q and E will be fixed for the 15th. Forward rotation speed with mouse improvements for the 15th. The D-pad will no longer show on PC, but stuff like turning off motion blur properly, HDR toggling, and then a camera shake slider will have to be post-launch. Some other updates that weren't specified when we're going to hit has to do with aiming, which is a lot to do with a raw mouse input, the available sensitivity ranges for mouse, flight control fixes, and just controls basically being fixed and made a lot stronger. We do know a couple of other patch updates and fixes that will be coming in from launch from a post a couple of weeks ago by Chad Robertson. We've also been prepared for many weeks for our full launch. That version of the game already has a long list of things that are already fixed that won't make the public demo weekend. This list includes weapons with 0% infusions, weapons with bonuses that apply to different javelins, plot integrity / party gather issues, changes to javelin unlock behavior, fixes for losing XP at the start of some expeditions, performance improvements, additional stability fixes, the launch bay will of course be in the game, and a few thousand more fixes and changes. Ben Irving also said that post-launch there will be patch notes to tell us exactly what's gone into the game and what has changed, but for the early access and launch of the game, it's probably not likely, but I do hope that they do include that. We do need to see some patch notes for some of the major things that have changed in this game to give us a good idea on how much has changed since then. But if not, we'll just work it out for ourselves and maybe do a video collating all of that information and seeing what actually changed. Now I want to go over some various bits and pieces of news that's quite new and certainly worth knowing before you go into the game on Friday. First question comes in from iDabs to Ben Irving. Does loot drop randomly in a pool, or will specific bosses / areas drop specific loot? Ben Irving goes on to say that there are loot tables in the game. Certain things can be earned through challenges, but that's stuff like blueprints for crafting. But it is interesting to know that whilst there is no specific loot that you get from killing the Swarm Tyrant in the Tyrant Mine, there is a little element of you can only get certain gear from doing certain stuff. which I think is really important that this game has. Not to the specific levels of bosses dropping certain gear, but I think having the ability to earn much better gear from doing cataclysms than in strongholds, and then getting better gear from strongholds as opposed to legendary contracts and then free play, it goes on, you know what I mean, making sure that even though it's on the same difficulty, the harder content gives the best rewards. John Warner made a really interesting point actually too, about basically if you want a level, avoid free play. Does free play have an experience gain cap? Like if I do so many world events, will I stop getting XP after say 5500 when I end free play? John says there isn't a cap, it's just not a very efficient way to gain experience. Missions and contracts with friends is the best way, plus you get a better alliance boost for your weekly coin grind. So if you're leveling and you say complete the critical path, avoid free play like the plague unless you're doing specific bits in there that you need to do for challenges. Like seriously, avoid it at all costs. Another great question is, if I play as a level 30 pilot and I help my friend level up, will this affect the difficulty of the enemies towards him? Ben says no, it's all relative health and damage, but also you will get loot for your own level if you're helping them out, which is pretty important to note that you can still replay certain content with lower levels and it's still being appropriate for you. The next thing that I wanted to bring up is this image going over pilot unlocks. I just wanted to say that it's not true anymore, it's actually been updated. I remember in the playtest being about level 5 or level 6 when I unlocked the support slot, but as you can see here it says I unlocked it at level 10. You can go look at the gameplay that's on screen, this is from that event. I certainly wasn't level 10, but I still had access to my wind wall if I wanted to use it. So just to debunk this very quickly, don't take it too seriously, and if you see other people pointing this out, tell them that it's old, send them here. And next I wanted to go over some tips that Mike Gamble had for us when we go into the game. The first of which, not to spoil the game at all. He said that if you're interested in the lore, then talk to the people in between missions, they have stories to tell, and no doubt that these conversations do change after every single part of the critical path. He goes and says don't blow all of your coins off at once, the customization system is deep, and to also use the alliance system because it's awesome and you get good coin from it. He says to play on hard difficulties because the loot is better, and be aware of the daily and weekly challenges. This is a video that I'm probably going to do day one from my experience on playing the game from early game a couple of times now, so do let me know if that's something that you'd like to see. But this is where I want to leave this video, I didn't want to go on for too long. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm very excited to see what this new short film is going to be like. I'm excited to see Anthem getting closer to launch, and it's only a couple of days away for us early access people. Thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.